So you've heard that saying time and time again, we are watching a movie. So I called on my guides and I said, right, can you just highlight this to me? Because it's something that's really bugging me now. We've been going on this journey for such a long time. And effectively, although we know things are being taken down and dismantled and just add the word reboot, done within and behind the scenes, things don't seem to be making a significant change in our reality. And what they've said is, we are watching something that's already been done, but there is a process to abide by. So they have got to see that they're doing everything correctly. What's the word? So that everything is being done at a rate that it needs to be done. Everything is being done strategically, just as it would have been done in a relative point of view by the bad guys, if you like, without me using any terminology on here. So because that's all been dealt with, and because they knew the narrative, because they were informed of what the plan was, they've had to follow that plan. But it's been done in a much smaller scale. But as you heard me say before, time is speeding up because this is a divine operation as well. So effectively, it's all got to be done like a movie. A movie has a start, the middle, and the end, but it has a time frame. And this is what I'm getting now. There's a time frame, a specific time frame when things, at the very, very start, they knew how long it would take. They knew exactly what they needed to show us, and they knew when it would end. And because of that ending, this is why they've had to speed time up, because otherwise it would have been dragged on. And there's also a higher significance with that as well, because the time frame for this really bad process that was going to happen by the year 2030, they couldn't use the same process but drag it out for that length of time, because a lot of people were waking up. And there's only so much that we could take. And I know a lot of you, like me, thought it would be a lot sooner than this. But remember, numbers come into it, there's significant meanings, there's gematria, there's so much, and a lot more than what we probably know. However, I have been getting July is literally that month where things will change. The 3D will collapse, and the world won't seem as it was before. But June is amping up because people are starting to rebulk. So the guidance I got from my guides, and this was the primarily, this was the reason I put this video out amongst all the other stuff I've been talking about, is the fact that this is going to be more happening within the cities. So just be mindful. Just be careful, because a lot of people, there's going to be two parts of this as well. There's going to be people that know things are going on and they're going to lose their, but they're not going to know why. And then there's other people that are going to be like, no, I've had enough of this, and they're going to be amping up. So, you know, yeah, just be very careful when you're going out. Don't really get, my guides are just saying, don't get into any unnecessary arguments. I'm getting horns beeping, I'm getting people losing the patience with each other. Don't get involved in that, just step away. Even if you're affected a little bit, or you're involved in it or anything like that, if you're driving or anything like that, just turn the other cheek and get out of the way, because it's really not worth our time, our energy either. But more importantly, we have got to look after ourselves as well. And I don't know why I'm doing these cards, because the information just flows through anyway. But yeah, stay in our truth, stay in alignment. Just be careful on what we're drawing our energy in as well. With the Queen of Swords, she's all about knowing her truth, knowing what to speak, but not only knowing what to speak, but when to speak it. So be very careful with your words, and what you say to people as well, and ensure you're finding that balance as well. So and knowing that it's all for the greater good, and people are being shown a lot more now. So I sort of hope that makes sense. I know I've gone on a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you're with me. Let me know in the comments if you've been experiencing anything that's sort of taken you off balance a little bit. I know recently I was feeling that I went through the motions of, is this going to ever going to get anywhere? Or are we going to, you know, because we can see things unfolding. We know how obvious it is to us, but within our day-to-day reality, we've got one foot in one world and one foot in another. But this video is just basically saying to you, you know, balance is being restored. People are standing up now and they're starting to see the hidden truth of this information coming out. And what's more important is that the media cannot withhold it back now, because the media aren't working for what they were working for before. The media, this information that is being putting out, and as frustrating as it can be for us, because it's been drips and drabs and reading between the lines and joining the dots, this month is going to be more obvious. They've realised it's got to be more obvious because people aren't seeing it for what the information they've been putting out. But that's also been done in a strategic way as well, because they've not wanted to make things that clear for there's been a certain amount of people they've wanted to be awake, and towards the very, very end, when these others do awake, it's going to be like an explosion. And they couldn't have allowed that to happen earlier on, because they've had to put us into these experiences of costs going up, us feeling pressure, us feeling as though we're being controlled, governed, and things like that. So everything's had to happen for a reason. And the reason that it's been frustrating for us, the reason that it's felt like we've had to join the dots on a lot of things, and the information hasn't been clear to us, and we feel like it's been the blind leading the blind, even though we know the truth of it all. There's been a reason for that. Like I say, they've not wanted people to just go into this mindset, because a lot of people that are waking up now would not have been able to handle and gone through this process. But they've needed to get information out. It's like putting a book out, but not giving too much away, because you've had to read that book to experience what that character has gone through. So when you get to the end, everything makes sense. But until you've gone through that, if you skipped right to the end, your head would explode, because, well, when did this happen, and what happened to them then, and why has this been done? And can you understand what I'm saying? The people would not have been able to get to it, would not have been able to get to grips, and a lot of people would have just lost the way, and I think a few will, if I'm honest. So yeah, it's keep everything together and know that everything is being done strategically for a reason. Time, even though time is man-made, we know that, but time has made a significant part in this. Because if you think as well, back in 2020, how quick has it gone? If I said to you, COVID, won't go into that, literally was 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago we're coming up to, you. When you really think about it, you think how that has gone so quickly. And like I say, time has been sped up, and there's a reason for that, because they've had to follow the rules, they've had to follow it just as they would have done, but they've done it in a shorter time, in a smaller scale, so it hasn't affected us too much, but we've had that experience. So when it comes down to it, we've read the whole book, we've experienced it, and we know where we are and why we're there. So hope that makes sense, guys, and I shall speak to you soon.